It's 12:07 on Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the John Phillips Show. Johnny is on vacation. He'll be back on Monday. It's Randy Wang here, broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. You can join us on the phone at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Randy Wang Radio. See the picture of salmon that I made last night. Now, of course, everyone is so excited, especially people living in downtown LA, because we've got a brand new billionaire. Somebody actually won the lotto after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of nobody winning and millions of people still playing it. Somebody finally won. And there was a big lottery press conference at the convenience store that sold the winning ticket. And, of course, whenever you have a press conference from the California Lottery, it's all about the kids, and it's not that they're pretty much a casino with crappy odds. Let's hear the Lotto lady herself, Carolyn Becker, talk about how this is really all for the schools.
The California Lottery raised nearly $80 million for public schools just from this one game, just from the last 3 months. That's something
that seems low for as much coverage and as many people have been playing it every single time. Multiple times a week.
That's something the voters asked us to start doing almost 40 years ago, and we are doing it.
And you know what? If you look at California schools over the last 40 years, they're way better than they used to be. Wait. They're not.
But let us keep it real.
I will, Cecily.
So we will talk more about that today as well. Again, we are here at Las Palmitas in downtown Los Angeles celebrating so much today. A big $1 billion+ win again. In 8 months' time, we've now had 2 here in Southern California.
That which means most of the time, nobody wins. I don't know about you, but at least when I gamble, which is rarely because I'm terrible at it, I would like to know that I have a chance of winning every single time. Not once every 3 months. But hey, you want to play the lottery? You want to live the dream? That's up to you. Go for it. I'm just not going to do it.
I want to invite our director.
But let's stop deluding ourselves that people are going to the grocery stores and the convenience stores and putting 20s in those machines for all the quick picks because of the kids. It has nothing to do with that. It's just gambling.
I want to invite our director of the lottery, Alva Johnson, to come forward and share a few thoughts with you as well about our mission to raise money for schools.
Thanks, Carolyn. Beautiful day in LA today. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We are so very pleased to be able to make this announcement today. Education is the core of what the lottery is about. That's why we're here.
Oh, just stop it. It has nothing to do with education. It has everything to do with someone wants to be a magic billionaire. Nobody is playing the California Lottery and thinking of, my dollar is going to go towards schools. Nobody. So stop with it. It's nonsense.
And, of course, we already mentioned that lucky player, unknown to us to date, $1.08 billion.
And by the way, the lucky player has not identified themselves yet, so they're literally standing there with the giant Ed McMahon-sized check made out to lucky player.
And, of course, we already mentioned that lucky player, unknown to us to date, $1.08 billion. Let's talk.
Lucky player is right now trying to figure out which of his close friends and family would likely murder him for the ticket if they found out it was him or her or they.
Let's talk for a few minutes about some of the next steps. I mentioned we won't know who that winner is until they come to us. We have offices all over California. We don't know if that person lives here locally, if it's a group, if they were passing by. They have to claim their prize, and then we have to spend time vetting the winner to make sure it is the right person. Integrity and transparency are incredibly important to us, so we will probably not know for months and months.
Months and months. And last time, they didn't even come out to it for a long time and then had a press conference where the guy refused to show up and they gave a speech that was written by the winner, how excited the winner was that all this money was going to California schools. Sure. By the way, Lotto lady Carolyn Becker from the California Lottery has some advice to the winner, Mr. Lucky Player himself.
Let's also talk about what that person should be doing this morning if they even realize they're the winner. Make sure that...
By the way, I don't think that's a natural level of excitement. I mean, I know she's got to sound really excited, but she's not that excited because she didn't win. I mean, she works for the California Lottery, and they spend a lot of California money on things they don't need to, like fancy hotels, food they don't need to be paying for, going to conventions. Just a few years ago, an audit showed that the California Lottery was blowing hundreds of thousands of dollars on unnecessary expenditures because they're living large. Everyone wants to be the billionaire.
Let's also talk about what that person should be doing this morning if they even realize they're the winner. Make sure the back of the ticket is signed. That's true for every single lottery ticket that somebody buys, especially if it's a winner. If you discover you're hanging on to a piece of paper like that, a winning ticket, particularly worth this kind of money, you're going to want to keep it in the most safe place possible.
Keep it extra safe because we've seen the stories. There are docuseries all up and down Discovery and TLC of people that get murdered for these tickets.
The winning Powerball ticket is the key to claiming that prize. The prize money is not available unless the winner has the winning ticket with them. So that's really, really an important aspect of this. And then we also encourage our big winners to think about hiring a team of advisors, maybe legal advisors, financial advisors. As you all know, we're talking about a significant amount of money.
And everyone in your life is going to be asking with their hand out for some, and they're going to try to screw you over, get you to invest in their business. It is going to be a headache. Time to get out of Dodge.
Amount of money, and they should walk into that process eyes wide open and armed with the right resources.
The first thing we advise the winner to do is not go to Disneyland, not go to Hawaii, but to make sure they get in touch with financial advisors because they are going to be scammed at every which way.
I'll conclude,
especially by their friends and family.
I'll conclude by just reiterating our thanks for our partners at the retail level, to our players and our entire lottery team. We really mean it when we say public schools are at the heart of what we do.
No, it's not. Just stop it. You are running a state-sanctioned casino. That's what this is. The odds are terrible, but it's promoted relentlessly in the local media, and people play it. If you want to play it, that's fine. I think you have a better chance of playing blackjack, but hey, you can play this at the convenience store. You can get your scratchers. If you want to do that, that's fantastic. Enjoy yourself. But can we stop pretending that we're doing it for the kids? Because that is... Well, I was about to say something I shouldn't say there.
We really mean it when we say public schools are at the heart of what we do. It's why we're here today. It's why we exist. And there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of winners every day in the form of public school students.
Little Billy, little Jill, you're the real winners out there. Just stop it. It's so unbelievably phony. Why even have the big press conference when you don't have somebody to give the big check to? They gave the $1 million to the convenience store owner, but stop it with it's for the kids.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of winners every day in the form of public school students. So we are honored to be in these jobs and happy to celebrate all of the winners today.
Now, there was a Q&A as well, and every local news channel took this live, wall to wall. They didn't just dip in for a second. This is the biggest story in the nation right now. Someone won $1 billion. Well, after taxes, like $300 million, and then they'll get scammed out of most of that. But I'm not pessimistic. She was asked, though, Miss Carolyn Becker of the California Lottery, what if the guy never comes forward? What happens to that money?
If by chance no one ever comes forward, they lose
Yes, another press conference where no one mics the reporters, even though they know this is going to get broadcast everywhere. Why is this so difficult in 2023? Just a personal gripe as somebody who monitors a lot of press conferences. Mic the reporters. And if you're not going to mic the reporters, then you have to repeat the reporter's question back into the microphone so the audience that's watching this can understand what the hell's going on.
The bonus for the store, that $1 million check you saw behind me, that they get that money regardless of whether there's a winner who comes forward or not. If that year passes and nobody has claimed the prize, that goes into our unclaimed prize pot, and that goes right back to California schools. So that's obviously kind of a bittersweet circumstance when it happens because somebody clearly hasn't realized they're sitting on something so valuable. But schools do even better than they're already doing if no one claims the prize.
Don't let Cecily hear that.
Get that money!
And of course, let's once again tout how all of this is for the money that we've raised for the kids, because California schools are doing great.
So just from this Powerball sequence, which is what we call it when a jackpot keeps rolling, this one has been rolling up until last night since it, just from Powerball in the last 3 months, California has raised nearly $80 million, $78.4 million for public schools. Keep in mind, that doesn't count Mega Million sales, Scratchers sales. So the amount.
If all this money is constantly flooding into schools because so many people in the state of California want that magical escape, they want to live the dream, they want to play the lottery, then why are the schools still so crappy?
Our learning spaces are special places.
But hey, you want to live the dream, you want to play the lottery, go for it. Enjoy yourself. I'm not going to play, but that's my decision. I do not like to put my money in gambling. I don't invest in stocks, don't invest in crypto anymore. Got burned on Dogecoin. Thanks, Elon Musk. And I don't play the lottery. The money that I have is the money that I've earned. And maybe that's foolish. Maybe there are better ways to go about it. But I do not feel that I am educated enough in any of these fields or lucky enough to win. So I don't play. When we come back, it is time for a town hall. And it's a very special town hall because it involves LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath,
quite frankly,
sitting down for an hour with the Santa Monica Democratic Club. And I want to give you a little preview of what it's like when Lindsay Horvath has a town hall at the Santa Monica Democratic Club.
So this is why I love Santa Monica Democratic Club, because like right out the gate, we're talking about needle exchange and shutting down the jail, okay?
We're going to see what she has to say on things like needle exchanges, shutting down the jails, and not wanting cops on Metro. Because she talked at length about all of those subjects. She was among a friendly crowd, and she had lots to say. Vince writes in, by the way, isn't the lottery a bait and switch? It's promoted to help the school kids, but once the lotto money started rolling in, the state defunded the schools. That is a fantastic point. Now, at 1 o'clock in the Fix California Hour, we're going to be talking to San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond, who is rolling out a campaign to fight against the county trying to get state money for harm reduction programs like passing out meth pipes and needle exchanges. What do you know? Those are programs that are widely used in Los Angeles County, and obviously we don't have a drug problem or a homeless problem in places like Santa Monica. And that's why Lindsay Horvath came to the Santa Monica Democratic Club to defend needle exchanges, especially the ones that are distributed by Barbara Ferrer in public parks.
No, thank you.
Let's listen to what she had to say.
I think many progressives understand the importance of the needle exchange program authorized by state law and run by the county, which can be a lifesaver for many addicts and prevent people from transmitting AIDS.
You know what else would prevent that? You got them off the freaking heroin.
And other diseases. However, recently here in Santa Monica, there's been a narrative that's been pushed by some conservative business owners who say that this program is making Santa Monica unsafe.
You mean like how the 3rd Street Promenade is turning into a giant homeless shelter and all the businesses are leaving?
So can you explain how the program works, why the exchanges happen at the specific sites that they do, and what you would say to those who feel the program is making Santa Monica or other communities unsafe to live in?
Sure. So I will start to tackle that question. I have some notes that I can get into a lot of specifics if I don't touch on what you wanted to hear. So don't be afraid to ask a follow-up.
Okay.
So the needle exchange program is something that the county administers in locations throughout the county, not just in Santa Monica. In fact,
Yes, public parks all over the county. Barbara Ferrer is passing out needles right next to kids.
Yeah.
when I was on the council in West Hollywood, we had a needle exchange program in West Hollywood that was run in partnership with a community organization, much like it's done here in Santa Monica.
And whenever you hear run in partnership with a community organization, that means that we're spending taxpayer money for a nonprofit to pass out needles. It's not that the volunteer organization is privately funding and doing this. No, we give hundreds of thousands of dollars to nonprofits like Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles, and they pass out meth pipes and needles on Skid Row. How does that make any sense?
And so it's important that harm reduction programs like this exist to ensure that people who are struggling with substance use disorder have the resources.
I like how we can't say drug addicts anymore. They're dealing with substance use disorder. Okay, we want to treat this like a disease. Well, if it's actually a disease, then shouldn't you be trying to cure the disease instead of exacerbating the problem? What you're doing, if somebody comes into the emergency room and they're bleeding, you don't want to stitch up the wound. You want to just keep a gauze around it to make sure that you're getting some of the bleeding, but you're not closing the wound. There's a metaphor for you.
And so it's important that harm reduction programs like this exist to ensure that people who are struggling with substance use disorder have the resources and access to services they need to get the help that they need. And so it's for all of the reasons that John said and more. And so we are working in partnership with a community-based organization here in Santa Monica.
How much money are they getting from the county's public health budget? A whole budget that is supposed to be dedicated to substance use treatment and prevention, and we're spending money on harm reduction nonsense.
There is a place that people can actually go, but they also provide services through a van that goes out into locations in the community. From what I understand,
that's right. We'll deliver the needles right to you.
From what I understand, currently it operates in Santa Monica 3 hours a week. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about this topic, and I want to make sure that we truly and thoroughly answer the question. But 3 hours a week is certainly not contributing to the broad scale issues that I think people are addressing or correlating.
And by the way, they say needle exchange, but it's a needle passing out program. It's not like they'll give you the clean needle only if you give them the dirty needle. No, they're passing them out to anybody that wants them. And they're not just passing out one at a time. What is actually happening is they'll pass out multiple needles. So you take 2 needles, you save one for yourself, and you sell the other one, so you have $10 to get your next fix. We are actively enabling drug addicts to keep killing themselves.
But 3 hours a week is certainly not contributing to the broad scale issues that I think people are addressing or correlating with this actual service.
It's only 3 hours a week that we have a public park where kids are supposed to play, lining up with homeless people, dropping needles everywhere. If they pick one up, they can just play swords with it. If you've got a good imagination, it works great. We've got a lot more of Lindsay Horvath talking to the Santa Monica Democratic Club.
Quite frankly,
in a town hall where she keeps it real with all of the things that she won't say in an interview because she doesn't do them, and won't even say in council because she might get pushback. But no, she's going to say it here among friendlies. But this is one of the few town halls that somebody records and puts on YouTube. So that means I have it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. We're listening to LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath address the Santa Monica Democratic Club in a town hall last night.
So this is why I love Santa Monica Democratic Club, because right out the gate, we're talking about needle exchange and shutting down the jail, okay?
And her first question was about Santa Monica's needle exchange program that we've talked about here. It's really a passing out needles program. It's happening in public parks where kids are supposed to be playing, and there's no real accountability. It's here. Take as much paraphernalia as you need. And as you know, LA County is not just paying for needles, we're paying for meth pipes. Whether they're being passed out in Skid Row, Hollywood, or Santa Monica, this is how we're solving the drug crisis. The substance use disorder crisis. Let's hear more from LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
The service does both. There's a brick and mortar and there's a van service that goes out into the community because that's often how you're able to build trust. You can meet people where they are.
That's right. The only way we're going to build trust with a drug addict is when they say, I don't want to get off drugs. We say, that's fine. Here's a needle. Do you want to get off drugs today? No, that's fine. Here's a needle. How is this working? Oh, it's not. We're having thousands of people die every single year of overdose by sticking a needle in their arm, and we're enabling that behavior.
That's often how you're able to build trust. You can meet people where they are, let them know that the services that you're providing are safe and trusted, and you can bring...
That's right. It's very safe. We're giving you this clean needle. We're giving you this pipe. It's even safer than a needle for fentanyl because you won't pass out. This is nonsense. And this is what we're spending your tax dollars on, my tax dollars on, what's supposed to be used for substance use treatment, what's supposed to be used for rehab beds, for doctors. It's going to this garbage.
Let them know that the services that you're providing are safe and trusted, and you can bring them into the service once you establish that trust. So
And they never have any numbers for how successful these things are. You all remember the Linkage Center in San Francisco, which was a safe consumption site where not only were we passing out the needles, but we were letting you do the drugs inside the center, and then if you overdosed, we'd Narcan you back to life. They had 18,000 people do drugs in there, and I believe 18 of them accepted services for treatment. That is a massive failure. And that place closed. And we don't learn our lessons from what happens in San Francisco, so that's why we're doing it down here. And we want to have those kind of centers down here. Barbara Ferrer is actively advocating for those kind of things down here. And that's why you're seeing pushback, because it's now coming to San Diego, and they're trying to say, hell no. That's why we'll be talking to Jim Desmond at 105.
So that's often how you're able to find success with programs like this. Obviously, we know that everyone who could benefit from such a program doesn't benefit the first time you interact with them. So sometimes it requires multiple communication.
That's right. We give them in a 12-pack of needles. That's right. Now we're friends, right? How does this make any sense?
Obviously, we know that everyone who could benefit from such a program doesn't benefit the first time you interact with them. So sometimes it requires multiple communication. And that's why the van has to keep going out to try and engage folks to bring them into that service.
If she actually had successes, she would tell us, we've had this program and we have gotten 1,000 people in Santa Monica off of drugs. But she doesn't have that number, because this is nonsense.
We also do provide services that help people become sober. So for some people, harm reduction is important, and we want to make sure that we're helping to keep people as safe as possible.
How is the goal not everybody should get sober? How is that not the goal when we're talking about substances that will destroy your brain and kill you? We're not talking about alcoholics. We're not talking about potheads. We're not even talking about cokeheads. We're talking about the worst things you could possibly do to yourself that we made de facto legal thanks to George Gascon and Prop 47 that destroyed the drug court system, and now we're enabling people to suffer on the streets. Why does the homeless number keep going up even though you had an eviction moratorium and thousands of people who overdose and die every year? It's because of this crap.
We also do provide services that help people become sober. So for some people, harm reduction is important, and we want to make sure that we're helping to keep people as safe as possible. But we also think that getting people into recovery is important too. So we do both and in the county.
Yeah, but here's why that doesn't work. Here's why you can't do both and. You can't offer harm reduction and sobriety. Because chances are, if you look at somebody who is addicted to drugs to the point whereas they haven't had their fentanyl fix, the pain is so blinding they will do anything, commit any crime to get their next fix. They are not going to accept the hard answer of accepting treatment, going to a rehab facility, going through the hell that is withdrawal, even a medical assisted treatment. They're not going to do any of that because you're making it easy for them. You're passing out needles so they don't have to worry about that. You're making it easier for them to do as much substance as they want because we've got Narcan passed out to everybody. How does this make any sense? Also, there is a finite amount of dollars that go towards the public health department's substance use budget. And if half of that, it's actually way more than half, but let's just say half of that is not going towards rehab beds and doctors, and it's going towards passing out paraphernalia, well, you can see how that's a colossal waste of money.
But we also think that getting people into recovery is important too. So we do both and in the county, because I've heard from people, well, why are you enabling people to stay using drugs? Why wouldn't you just help them get off drugs? But I think we're doing both. And
you can't do both. Both doesn't work. If both worked, then it would have worked.
And it's important that we do both because sometimes you have to bring people into that service to help them get to a different place to understand they need to do more to help themselves and protect their own health.
Look what's going on in San Francisco right now, where they have tried this approach relentlessly. They have spent so much money on services and programs like this. It's not working. So they finally decided, okay, we need to start arresting people that are sticking needles in their arms in public view. And they did that. And you know what they tried the first time around? They tried to offer voluntary services. Can we get you into treatment? Can we get you rehab? Can we help you? And all of the people they arrested turned them down. So now, what are they trying? What are they finally figuring out? Okay, if you get arrested twice, first time's just a warning. We're going full on Janice Hahn if you get arrested for drug use.
That's your final warning.
But the second time, you have to go to drug court. Something that we passed in 2000 and worked very well up until Prop 47 destroyed it, where you are faced with a judge and you either have court-mandated treatment, you rebuild your life, you get off drugs, or you go to prison. And you know what? 10 out of 10 times, they're going to take the rehab over prison. And you know, rehab is very difficult. And yes, there is a failure rate. But that is a way more successful program and has changed lives and saves lives than this insanity.
So we're doing both and we're using community-based organizations that have developed trust in the community. And we're using trusted, proven tactics to help get people.
Notice how she says trusted, proven tactics. Show me the proof. Show me the numbers. You have said zero numbers. Where are the actual statistics that this works? When they say we have evidence-based solutions, they don't give us the evidence.
And we're using trusted, proven tactics to help get people off the benches and parks where you don't want them to be using drugs into the...
That's right, because nobody is doing drugs on benches at parks anymore. Oh, except they are.
And parks where you don't want them to be using drugs into the care of people who can actually help them a lot better than leaving them to suffer on their own. And so
you're still leaving them to suffer on their own.
It's important to me that this program continue, but more importantly, it's important to the region that we are providing these services and making them affordable and accessible to people who need that help.
I don't know what to say. Constituents of the 3rd District of LA County, we should have voted for Fat Drew Carey.
Quite frankly.
The phone number is 800-222-KABC. Peter in LA, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
What planet is this? What planet is this woman from?
Apparently she's from West Hollywood.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. It feels like a story. Like a Disney story that she's putting together. It doesn't work like that at all. Like you said in your comments, it just makes no sense at all.
No, and this is what she and the majority of the board is advocating for with the full support of the fake doctor.
what amazed me is nobody makes comment. I know they're Democratic people, but still, I'm assuming there are people in this room that are saying, well, that's stupid. That makes no sense.
Obviously, Peter, the vast majority of people that live in this county are, identify as Democrats. But the people at the Santa Monica Democrat Club, that's a whole other game. And I have to believe, the average person, no matter who they vote for on a ballot, doesn't support insanity like this. They just don't know about it. But I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. 800-222-KABC. Let's hear what Lindsay Horvath had to say about defunding the police on Metro because we need more ambassadors. I'm not kidding.
So you were recently the only brave member of the Metro board who voted not to extend contracts with law enforcement agencies in favor of alternative approaches like security ambassadors and social service providers. So why? Every
time there are people actually advocating for ambassadors. This is nonsense. This, of course, is Lindsay Horvath at a town hall with the Santa Monica Democratic Club, which is it's something.
So why did you take that vote, and why do you think you were the only one to do so?
So at Metro, we are embracing a layered approach to public safety. We launched a pilot program of security ambassadors that I would like to see expanded system-wide.
You mean the people that don't even know what their job is and are asking for police because they believe their job is too dangerous with all the crazies you let stay on the trains?
We have invested also in transit security officers, and we do currently contract for law enforcement services. And I voted against extending those contracts twice for a couple of reasons. First, I don't think the narrative that people hear often about Metro right now is that their experience is one full of safety and comfortability. And I don't think that we're going to get there by continuing to do the same thing that we've been doing over this last contract cycle.
Well, what we've been doing is you don't let the cops go after the bums and the drug addicts, and you have their hands tied, and you hire ambassadors. So what exactly is the point she's making here? Yeah, I don't know either.
That's just common sense. This has nothing.
By the way, $300,000 a year. That's how much this LA County supervisor makes.
That's just common sense. This has nothing to do with politics. So I wanted us as a board to have a conversation about what are we going to do meaningfully different that people will experience on the Metro system in order to restore confidence, that people will have a safe and comfortable experience, but also restore the experience that people have on Metro. Now, I will say that I've been riding Metro myself to try and experience firsthand what people are seeing throughout the system.
Yep, all the selfies. We've seen you with your staffers going from one stop to another stop. Take it all the way from Chatsworth to downtown LA and do it once a week, please. And why don't we get you on a bicycle too, Lindsay?
I've had some colorful exchanges, but I've had some perfectly bland and normal and boring experiences. Like just you get on a train, you go where you need to go, you get off, it's fine. So I will say, I don't know that system-wide, all of the challenges that people sort of are painting out there are everyone's daily experience. But
yeah, I don't like the painting of a narrative. It's not a narrative that a police officer got his finger bitten off by a meth head. It's definitely not a narrative that two different bus drivers, both in your district, got stabbed in just the last month. That's not a narrative. That is crime that you don't give a crap about.
So I will say, I don't know that system-wide, all of the challenges that people sort of are painting out there are everyone's daily experience, but there are actually challenges out there that we need to address. And so I don't want to gaslight anyone by saying like, it's all fine. It's not. We have to do better, but we also have to invest in the services and resources that people need. And what
services was the meth head that's biting people's fingers off need? What services are going to stop that problem? Where a police officer can't even ask someone to stop smoking meth before they get attacked, before a woman gets bit on the train, before all the other things, including harassment that we have seen, the stabbings, the shootings. No. We need more services. There is violent crime on these trains every single day. It's through the roof. They won't even come out with what numbers we have for overdoses since February, because in February it was more than 2022. all combined. And now we're in July, and they still won't give us the new numbers.
But we also have to invest in the services and resources that people need. Let's
not forget, this is the woman that defunded the sheriff's department in West Hollywood in favor of transit ambassadors. How's that working out?
Ooh, this doesn't look too good.
My biggest issue is that we don't have enough.
By the way, that guy literally was taking video of two people kicking the crap out of each other in West Hollywood and two ambassadors doing absolutely nothing about it.
My biggest issue is that we don't have enough personnel interspersed throughout the system, whether it's on buses or on trains. So when I was on the train, for example, and I saw someone who was using drugs, there was nobody I could turn to help this person get help, to assist them to getting to a safer place. There was no help to be asked for. There was no one available. I don't think that's...
What about your security detail?
I don't think that's right, especially right now when we're sort of in this time of emergency. Let's at least step up our presence on our buses, on our trains for the next period of maybe 6 months, and see who we can deploy out there, whether it's homeless service providers, addiction recovery folks, provide.
Can we do the needle exchanges on the red line?
Provide those services, make sure that they are visible, present, and engaged. And so that's what I would like to see throughout the system.
And by the way, if you ever wondered why politicians like Lindsay Horvath use the generic term services,
quite frankly, it's
because she doesn't want to say out loud when they're talking about what these services are, how many of them are enabling people to stay on the streets or in a train.
And so that's what I would like to see throughout the system. And I do think that law enforcement has to respond to calls because there are cases where they are the only ones with the authority to intervene. So we have to there is a role for law enforcement to play. But right now, we also have seen that the Inspector General of Metro, in her own independent analysis, found that the majority of calls over the last contracting cycle, the majority of calls that have a response from law enforcement is actually responding from the local stations wherever the incident is occurring and not from the contracted law enforcement services. So,
yeah, but you're part of the board of directors. Isn't it on you to make sure that the law enforcement that you contract with is on the train? You want to have just ambassadors that you pay for that won't do anything. How does that make any sense? And what does somebody do when they can't call 911 because they're underground on the red line?
So we're paying for services that we then aren't actually realizing out in the community. And sometimes those law enforcement services for which we contract are responding to other issues, but Metro is paying for it. So I think when we are contracting to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, we should know what we're getting. We should be confident that what we're getting is the right kind of solution and that it's actually delivering the results that we're expecting. And right now, I don't think any of those things are true, which is why I wanted to force the conversation. And the second time, I just asked that we set aside the conversation around the law enforcement budget so we could talk. And I'm even willing to have law enforcement come in and make their case as to what they want to do differently. I'm not trying to shut anyone out of the conversation, but to not have the conversation at all at the board when everyone is really expressing concern about what we're doing on Metro, I don't think sends the right signal. And so,
well, you had this conversation in West Hollywood, Lindsay Horvath. You took away 5 sheriff's deputies. You replaced them with unarmed ambassadors, and violent crime has gone through the roof in West Hollywood.
Ooh, this doesn't look too good.
Later on in the show, we'll hear what she has to say about closing Men's Central Jail. It's Lindsay Horvath talking openly and honestly in front of the Santa Monica Democrat Club. Coming up next, though, it's the Fix California Hour. Jim Desmond, the San Diego County Supervisor, will join us because he doesn't want San Diego to turn into L.A. or San Francisco. It's the John Phillips Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
quite frankly,